So, what is OORBS? Well, to start with, OORBS stands for Oxygenated Organic Refuse Bioremediation System. Now, we've laid that out here so we can kind of touch on those points. So, first of all, oxygenated because it's an aerated system. We use oxygen to ensure that we're getting aerobic metabolism for the biology that goes inside while it breaks down the organic material. Organic refuse refers to the fact that it can handle any type of organic material. So if it came from something alive, it can go into this system. So that means things like meat, that means dairy, that means even eggshells, bone, you name it, this system can handle it. Now what we get to last year's bioremediation system, and that basically just means that we use bacteria and living organisms to make a polluted system safe. So bioremediation could be, you can bioremediate soils, you can bioremediate lakes, and again you're using microorganisms to restore the natural system or restore a polluted system. So when we put food or sewage into our environment, we concentrate all the nutrients in a very small area, and that causes all sorts of problems. So what we're doing is we're using a controlled system to speed that process up and to avoid all the problems that we get with it so that it can then be safe to be put into the environment. So that's what bioremediation system stands for. So again, OORBS, Oxygenated Organic Refuse Bioremediation System. Now, what OORBS is capable of doing because of its design is by using certain fluid dynamic principles and certain bacteria and a really good understanding of biology, we're able to make the process a lot more efficient than the other systems out there. We see reduction rates that can take place depending on the material that you put in as little as a few hours. And it can handle things that most other systems can't. But the biggest thing is it does this in a very safe way where nothing leaves the system. It doesn't leach into the environment at any point. You take it out when it's finished. The other big benefit to this one is that it's able to stay aerobic the entire time. It gets that oxygen to all points in the system extremely efficiently so that there is never a smell. We never produce any methane in this. We never produce any of the toxic gases that go along with it. Things like putrescine or cadaverine or hydrogen sulfide. Those are all the things that we associate with the smell of rot or compost piles. Again, we can do this without any of that. It is actually able to neutralize a lot of those smells. Even if, let's say you've got a rotting bucket of food, you put it in the system and in a short period it will oxidize those toxic gases and remove the smell from the system. Biggest difference with this is it's a level of efficiency. We're able to actually use it's a little complicated and we're going to do another video on this entirely, but we're able to use physics to control pressure gradients inside the system. And by controlling these pressure gradients, we're able to ensure that all parts of the system are in constant motion and are in constant contact with oxygen. So that means that not only do we use less energy, it means that it can move faster because there's always a supply of oxygen. And aerobic respiration is several times more efficient than anaerobic respiration. So that's another reason why it's highly desirable. Beyond that, the end product, what is it doing? It's doing what it was intended to in the first place. The finished product is a safe fertilizer. So from our bottom catch basin, you'll get a biosolids fertilizer. And the nutrients in that are perfect for putting in your soil already. The liquid itself also contains high levels of nutrients, all depending on how long you run the system for and what your end goal for the system is. After about 24 hours on average, the liquid inside would be considered a good fertilizer. If you're looking for clarification, you're looking to clear the water out, that'll take a little bit longer because you want things to settle out. And in that case, the settled biosolid would be your fertilizer and not the liquid. But again, it can work both ways, and at the end of the day, it's safe fertilizer. Now, another advantage to the system and what it does is we're able to use the same aerobic processes to neutralize pathogens. Certain types of bacillus, which are types of bacteria, produce peroxides. It's partially how they break down the food. Now, those peroxides also, as time goes on, the peroxide levels increase, and it starts to cause a die-off of other types of anaerobic organisms or organisms that are less tolerant to peroxides. So through that mechanism, as well as natural formation of ozone and oxygenation and peroxides, we end up killing off the bacteria. Now, those types of bacteria that are good for soil, you want to harvest that fairly soon, but they're also gram-positive. So gram-positive soil beneficial bacteria will end up in the biosolids tank at the bottom, and to a certain extent in the nutrient itself, in the liquid itself. So when you add that to your soil, you're adding beneficial soil bacteria. So that can actually improve the health of your plants and improve the quality of the soil. But if you want complete die-off, we're also relying on higher level organisms, things that are bacterial feeders, things like protozoa or rotifers. And what happens is if you want to really keep this, make sure this system is safe and there's nothing left, we let the system go and stay oxygenated. It's very important so that these organisms can consume the bacteria and eliminate them from the system. So there's several different factors that come into play that make this a very safe system and give you good quality fertilizer. So in the end, if I'm going to summarize that up, that's going to be that it's able to very, very rapidly reduce organic refuse, so kitchen scraps, waste, meat, you name it, into a very safe fertilizer that you can then use in the environment. It helps to contain everything so you don't get leaching runoff, you don't damage the environment, right? You don't concentrate those pollutants in the environment. You're able to treat chemicals and oxygenate them to break them down first, to make that safe, and it has virtually no odors. It's able to eliminate and neutralize the odors. So this is odor-free composting, and it requires roughly the same amount of electricity as it takes to run a light bulb. So in terms of power use, this thing is definitely unrivaled. There's nothing that can come close to it. It can easily be run off of a solar panel. We're currently running a 35-gallon unit for 4 households, 10 people, and it can easily handle it, and most likely it can handle quite a bit more than that.